Educators and students often struggle to learn from each other through the use of feedback. Our research into feedback practices has found that students and staff find feedback practices largely unsustainable, demotivating and without opportunity for improvement. Researchers generally describe current feedback practices as lacking in detail, difficult to understand, ambiguous or simply unusable. The 2015 Graduate Course Experience surveyed over 93,000 students within 4 months of their graduation. It reported that while close to 3/4 of graduates felt the feedback they received was helpful, 16.3% could not decide if the feedback was helpful, while a further 9.7% found the feedback unhelpful. Clearly something is wrong when 1/4 of our graduates indicate feedback is not working. The Australian government-funded Feedback for Learning project surveyed 4,514 students and 406 staff across 2 universities. It revealed that while students are generally satisfied with their feedback, there are a number of cohorts, or practices, that need attention. Feedback underpins students' effective decision-making, and is the basis for improving learning outcomes. Despite heavy financial investment by universities, student experience of feedback continues to be less than desirable, especially for already at-risk students. Many academics operate with misconceptions about feedback that inadvertently add to the problem. If we are to improve, we need to seek out best practices and gain a clearer vision of what feedback should be. Feedback is not given to or done to the learner. In higher education, the concept of feedback is commonly misunderstood. For example, many academics and students assume that feedback is a one-way flow of information, which happens after assessment submission and is isolated from any other event. In addition, academics and students often feel that the role of feedback is merely to justify the grade. A further misunderstanding is that feedback is something that is done by academics and given to students. These beliefs are deeply held in academic culture. In contrast, leading researchers in the field argue that feedback is not a simple input. Instead, it is a process in which information about the quality of a student's performance is engaged with by the student, and leads to a change in future work or learning strategies. Ultimately, academics need not be involved at all. The shift from a teacher-centered perspective also provides a valuable opportunity to reposition the academic as just one actor within the feedback process. Indeed, feedback comments can be from, and instigated by, a variety of sources, including the evaluator, peers, and the learner. Feedback must have impact. In contexts other than education, such as technology or biology, feedback is not an input but rather a process within a system. For example, if a blood vessel is damaged, platelets cling to the injured site and release chemicals that attract more platelets, eventually forming a blood clot. In this system, feedback regulates or optimizes the output. Applying this metaphor to higher education, feedback can be usefully understood as a process within our complex teaching and learning system, rather than something that needs to be given to an actor in the system.